right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. We are live streaming from AmRen 2016, and this is our second attempt today to try to get some live streaming going. Thank you for joining us. I'm Henrik. This is Lana, and yeah, we just. I think we're going to try to do things a little bit differently. We had so many connection issues earlier today, so I've lowered the quality of the stream quite a bit. And hopefully the connection will hold a bit better this time. And you know, we're probably just going to kind of leave the stream on, even if we don't have tons of content right away, and just try to grab some people as they walk by or whatever. So you know, it's going to be kind of more behind the scenes-ish feel than to try to cover this thing with a bunch of different people.
Everyone's pretty spread out too.
Yeah. It's difficult because you need to like chase people down, and they're talking. You guys, you probably know how it is on at these conferences. You know, people are. They're meeting so many new people, and it's exciting, and people want to do this and that, and they forget, and people are having a couple of drinks and stuff like that too. So you know, it's a bit different. But yeah, so we'll just kind of leave the stream on for a while and see what happens, and see who comes around. There's a couple of things, you know.
There's a lot of people said that they wanted to come on, and they're all kind of spread out. It's a cocktail hour now, so
yeah. I mean,
they're spread out.
I think one of the things that's unfortunate is that people are they're kind of afraid of showing their faces.
I knew we should have brought masks. I had the idea of bringing masks, and a lot of more people would have been interviewed if they could wear that, because they're afraid of getting fired and outed.
Found out. Has that happened to anybody?
No, I mean, really, if you just have your face out there, what's the chances that your employer is going to be watching this Red Ice live stream, though, really, you know? Richard Spencer and I were talking. There's only one person that we know of that's been fired for attending an AmRen conference, and it was simply because they talked to a reporter and they put their name out there, and somehow their employer found out, or someone narked.
What paper?
What it was? Yes, someone narked to them.
Yeah, see?
I'm not sure which paper. So if you just don't put your name out there, it's fine.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, that's I can understand that. I mean, some people they have families and children and stuff like that, and you know, we have these SJWs that are basically going hunting people. We had two outside here today. All right, actually, let's show that.
Two very weak-looking ones.
Let's show that footage. Actually, I mean, it's just pathetic. But you know, we had two guys there, like two protests.
One guy with a sign. Now there's a second guy with the sign too.
It was like, immigrants welcome, racist get out.
And then the other one was, are whites inherently racist? That's a new sign I saw outside. They're pretty weak. And there's an HBO crew here filming, trying to do a documentary.
That's what you see in the feed. There's actually more HBO people than protesters. They're like,
and of course they go right for the protesters to talk to them, and they can ask all these people attending the conference.
What I thought was funny is that they have. They seem to spend a good deal of time with them. I was surprised how long they spent with them compared to like just hearing someone of...
Because they're lefties. They love talking to other lefties, right?
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. So, I mean, God, they have like these huge crews too. They have like producers. They have, you know, camera people, sound people, just one producer running around. That's what we need, right?
And there's several reporters here, and they're all women reporters, and they're not very nice. They're kind of frumpy. I don't know. Not a lot of fun. Ramsey Paul's having fun with that.
It's like that Huffington Post. Oh, check that out. It's like that Huffington Post crew that you showed, right? It was just all women on the editorial board. All women.
I just tweeted that, by the way. Yeah. All female editors.
It's insane. So how can they get away with that? Imagine if that was all men right there in that editorial office.
All hell.
They'd be fired. Specifically if they were white, of course, you know. Yeah, but so what's going on here right now is, as we've said this on several of the live streams so far, all, 3 that we've been doing, but we wanted to, you know, have a camera not towards the wall, but actually out in the room, but due to privacy issues, we won't do that. So what's happening is people are kind of gathering for some dinner, right? It's a banquet coming up.
Drinks first.
They have some drinks over there.
Always the drinks.
Yeah, there's a bar literally just like 25 meters to
see if we can flag them down over there.
Yeah, we have some people that's going to join in throughout the evening, so we'll see what happens here. But as I said, ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you're watching, we're just going to leave the stream open and on for a while. So we might even go and flag down some people. But here's
have a seat.
Yeah,
we'll take the mic. Jake and Bonnie. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I've been having a blast since we've got
Hold
here.
up the mic a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. No, fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I've been having a blast since we got here. I've met a lot of people, which is nice. A lot of people that share my ideas. Perhaps not 100%, but that's how we are in the white community.
That's right. Diverse bunch, huh?
That's good. So how did you guys find out about the conference?
Real early. When January.
Yeah, we found out immediately, basically, when it was happening, and we signed up right away. I found out about AmRen and whatnot through the internet. You guys as well through the internet, and I don't know. It's been great to be here. I can tell you that.
Were you guys on this page, or when did you guys, look into these topics?
This is actually something I realized when I was probably about maybe 22. Talking maybe 2001. Before, like I didn't come.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't involved really with anything then or nothing. It was kind of something that I came to the realization of. We were living in Florida, and the area that I was working, there was a lot of immigrants moving to the area, illegals and whatnot, and just from the idea of the melting pot and watching this mass immigration of people into the area, I was able to see that, that without anybody actually speaking up about this, that, we're going to actually be mixed out of existence.
That's right. And where are you from? Wisconsin?
Yes, Wisconsin.
Yeah, okay. So are you there? Are you still living there now?
Yes.
What's the demographics like?
The area we live in, we moved back from Florida about 6 or 7 years ago, and the area, just from the short time that we've been there, it's really gone downhill. They've added a lot of police because of all the crime, of course. And some people would say that that's a good thing. I myself would say all the crime is a bad thing.
And what about you? Are you just along for the ride, or are you interested in racial topics, if you will?
I am interested in the racial topics. I think it's very important. I myself didn't really see the light officially, I guess, until probably last year when he was discussing it more with me, and then it was like, you really start to look around and see what's going on and notice it, I guess.
So you weren't on
important.
that page initially to begin with, is that correct?
Right.
So how'd you? Because that's a tricky thing. We hear from a lot of people that have, their couples, whatever, and one of them is on board on these issues, but it's difficult to talk with their partner.
And it is.
Did not
It
talk
is.
to me about it.
Like everybody else, I grew up in the same multicultural society. I have friends that are not white. And, it might be surprising to some people to find out that one of my best friends for more than 30 years is actually a black guy.
Legitimately.
And, so it's hard to bring up these subjects, being that everybody has basically a view that they've adopted from somebody else on a situation, So to openly talk about these even with my wife, it wasn't not easy to bring up these kind of topics and discussions of things. And it's just pretty much come to there.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's a tricky thing to do,
Yes.
to walk that line and without being scared away, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh shit, what is this about?
Right. And,
was it like that?
For me?
Yeah, when he started to talk about these things.
When he started, kind of, I guess you could say that, when he started talking to me more about it. I don't think it was hard to see, it's just that you're so used to the diversity and everything. I guess if you're not really focused into looking at it with open eyes and realizing what's really happening, then you don't see it. So it wasn't necessarily, for me, it wasn't like a shocker, like, what are you talking about? This is, conspiracy type thing. It was just more like, wait a second, this is really real,
Right. So you'd experienced some of that, because many cases where people who they might live in a super wide area or something, and it's impossible to talk with those people about it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But not the case for you guys.
No, and
For us, we don't live there. No.
and really,
We live right
you know,
between Chicago and Milwaukee, so we're pretty diverse.
I can hear the accent too.
it's funny
You know,
because
wacky?
I don't notice it. And I when we lived in Florida, I got that a lot from a lot of the older folks who obviously notice it.
Well, I don't want that to die. A lot of accents are kind of going away, and people are blending in together. I don't like that. I like that you have an accent.
Yeah, the differences. Yeah, that's true. Well, what are you guys concerned with the most? I mean, in terms of everything that's happening, what are you guys? What are you worried about with all of this? You know,
I'm really, I really am worried that, over time that our entire race is going to be basically wiped off the planet. I'm really worried for my kids, which are already going through this. You know, my oldest daughter's 12, my youngest daughter's 10. So they're already experiencing a lot of this in school and whatnot, and it's a constant battle of deprogramming them from the things that they learn in school constantly.
On a daily basis,
Yeah.
we're doing that. You know.
And I really fear for my grandkids. It reaches a point. I personally believe at some point we're going to reach a point of basically no return, where we will no longer have the option to solve things diplomatically,
Right.
and it's going to have to take force. And if we don't start standing up now, who will?
It might be like South Africa eventually.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Well, I hope it doesn't get that
Of
bad,
course,
but you
no.
never
and
know.
and really South
Africa.
Africa's,
Beirut.
you can explain that along the lines of like what happened in Haiti. You reach such a low population that eventually, you don't have a voice anymore, especially in a democracy like we live, where once we become the minority and nobody will advocate for us like how we will advocate
No.
for other
No, of course
races.
not.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Quite different.
It's the most unfair situation ever. I'd say. It's just amazing, Yeah, will we be treated as good as we have been treating minorities in our countries,
No,
right?
we won't.
Give them special privileges and getting ahead and all that
Yeah.
stuff. No,
Absolutely
I don't think so.
not.
And if our numbers happen to get that low, I doubt anybody's going to give us a reservation
come on next?
to survive. And
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, are you guys enjoying yourselves? Is this it's the first year here, you said, right?
Yes, it's the first time.
Yeah. So what's next? Are you going to go to some other conferences?
I would
coming up?
like to, but with having a regular life as well, it's hard to balance dealing with the
We'd
kids.
like to try and
Oh, yeah.
go to an NPI one, but
Oh,
that
you
one's-
should. We're going to go to that one too.
Yeah.
I think it's good just
I
to
don't
meet
think
people
we're
and
gonna
get
make
out.
the one. There's one in November.
November.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
going to be a good
I'm
one.
not sure that we're gonna make that one
Aw.
because this one and with the
Taking
kids and
time off.
everything, but maybe
Yeah.
the one after that.
It's worth
we'll be
it.
able to
It's
make
worth it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I
thank you
think
so
Mark
much.
Weber's going to
Mark-
jump on
yeah,
here.
Let's bring in Mark
Thank
Weber.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Nice
We'll see
meeting
you
you.
later, okay? Yeah, thanks so much. All right. But that's good.
Now he's stuck talking to someone else.
Well, this is what happens. It's fine, We have
I think it's great just hearing people's stories of how they wander into this and what they find out. And I've met a lot of ex-hippies, a lot of older guys that used to be hippies, which is
that's-
kind of cool because they're coming around now.
That's
and
true. There are a lot of people on the left, it seems like, that are coming over. They're starting to see the light,
It's true.
many of them.
It's true.
Yeah.
And like one guy said, well, I just started reading it and it just it just hit me,
Hit,
and
yeah.
I knew that this was the truth.
Yeah. So do you think there's any like 100th monkey kind of thing going on here in this?
I think there's
with
some
this thing?
truth to that,
Yeah. Like basically when X
Like a-
amount of people are aware of these things, it kind of just like spreads on an intuitive level. Through,
Well, it sure
through
feels
the
that
rest.
way. It feels like it's just boom, spreading.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny too here to watch the JQ unfold and people talk about it in the AmRen
It
comments.
came up earlier. That was fun.
Yeah, someone had asked about that.
Jared, yeah. Well, I think it's very difficult, of course, but I think that you can't deny that as an aspect.
Of course not. You can't.
It's
There
impossible.
is that parasitic
it's just a
tribe.
matter of how
No
much you want
denial.
to focus on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just another part.
Hey, Mark.
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Are we on now, or
Yeah,
we will
there-
be?
there you
oh,
are.
okay. Where do I look? The camera's
You
here.
can look at us, and
We
I
have-
think there's
yeah,
a
there's the
camera on
camera.
you there. Let's see,
Okay.
there's
Let me
one
adjust
there.
that while you guys talk a
Yeah,
little
see,
bit.
there you are. We're going to get it right. It's hard
Yeah.
when we have all these people with different heights and whatnot.
But I should just look at you.
That's
okay,
absolutely
I'll
fine.
keep my eyes on you. Okay.
So are you enjoying yourself?
Oh, yes, very much.
Do you go to conferences often, or are you going to a lot of these?
I've been to maybe 6 or 7 of the AmRen conferences.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
I'm always happy to see people that I haven't met before, but I meet
Yeah.
new people, of course, always at these events, and it's really great, really great. This one's especially uplifting. I think this one's especially energizing. It's the largest turnout of any conference, as you know.
Yeah.
But everyone, I think, appreciates what Taylor said, that the wind is in the sails. That's something I think everybody's very conscious of.
Yeah, it's true. It's catching on. He's probably happy to see a lot of young folks here, too.
Right, and many people here for the first time. But no, and I'm very impressed that as time goes on, the level of intelligence, of skill, of capability, of character gets better and better as time goes on. It's really
Yeah.
encouraging.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
go
no,
on.
no, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
want to know your story. How did you even get into historical revisionism?
Partly it's my background. My father developed in me an interest in history. He was a journalist and a columnist. He later became a lawyer, but that helped. That was important in my background. But really decisive was when I was 18. I moved to Europe. I lived a year in Germany first. Then I was working in France and Flanders, actually in Antwerp. And I was talking with some of the people about that. And then I went down through Africa, and I taught school in West Africa. But those experiences were very important in helping me to understand a very basic reality that is denied in our society. The reality that different kinds of people make different kinds of societies. We're told over and over that you can have any kind of people can, under the right circumstances, make any kind of society. And I learned at a fairly early age that that's not true. Societies reflect the mores, the character of the people who make up those societies. And it's foolish, absolutely foolish, to try to imagine that we can make people in different cultures conform to some other culture. They can do it temporarily, or they can do it by force. But it's foolish to try to make that, and really inhumane, really wrong.
Right.
Each culture, each people, each nation should not only have the right, but we should respect the right of every people to develop as they wish on their own.
Yeah.
And this is something I learned at a fairly young age. But between the ages of 18 and maybe 23, my worldview sort of gelled. But that's true of almost everybody at that age. In those years, almost everybody develops their kind of essential outlook on life, their values, their worldview. And so that was very decisive in that time for me. And but when I was in Europe, talking to people in many different places, in fact, Belgium was very influential in that regard. I learned that the narrative that we hear in America about the Second World War is very misleading, very distorted. There's a whole lot one could say about that, but I learned to be much more skeptical, you might say, of the official narrative and the official narrative about society. And so when I came back to the United States, I lived in different parts of the United States. I studied. I'm by background historian in education. I have a master's degree in history. And so as things gelled, as things took off, I felt it's not enough to know these things. I felt other people should know them, and my duty or my responsibility to help other people understand this is just as great as anyone else.
Yeah.
And so at a fairly early age, I became involved in trying to, work as you might say, an independent educator, something like that. And that's one of the things that's impressive is now there are many more people, and there's much more opportunity for all of this because, the internet is a big factor. Information is far more available. People can see much of this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so gratified to be at meetings like this and to see so much of this taking root among younger people, especially in a time like this, because it's obvious to everyone around the world that the system, the ideology is in a real crisis. It doesn't provide answers for these major problems that we are facing in America, in Europe, around the world. And people are yearning. They desperately want to know, well, how did this happen and what do we do about it? And that's why conferences like this are very important.
Is that the main driving force why it's so kind of, it's getting not popular, maybe it's not the right term, but it's catching on more and more. People are coming to this from all walks of life, and as you said, many young people. Is it the events in the world that's causing that, or is it the work that people like you're doing also?
No, I mean, it's of course the work or the awareness on the internet helps people to put into context and give a background to what everybody can see. That is the contradiction between what people experience and what we're told.
Right.
This is becoming more and more great. And this is also a similar thing happened in the final decades of the old Soviet Union. The contrast between the slogans and the promises on the one hand and the reality of life, daily life on the other became greater and greater.
Yeah.
And people stopped believing. They stopped believing the system.
Yeah.
And sure, the people in power carry on because they have to carry on. They want to hold on to their power. But it's obvious to everyone that Hillary Clinton has no credible vision of where this is going, or Angela Merkel. They have no real, they don't even offer anything plausible about how this is going to get better. All they do is say we have to carry on with the same solutions or the same programs that are obviously failing.
Yeah.
And everybody can see this.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing is, of course, the reality. But organizations like this help people to, fortify themselves for what to do. And really, in every society, the percentage of people who feel called on to actually act about it is always going to be a small one.
Yeah.
People who are really idealistic and dedicated is always a minority in any culture, in any society, because most people focus on their day-to-day lives, their families, their work, whatever. That's quite normal.
Yeah.
But organizations like this, or conventions, conferences like this, are very important because it attracts and is meant to attract people who are both have the intelligence and the soul, the heart, to think about these things and to care about them and act on them.
Yeah, so
that's really important.
Leadership, really, in a way, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's not it's more of an elite in that regard.
In that regard, yeah,
You
it's a nascent, an elite in becoming, you might say.
Right,
it's
right.
developing, yes. And I'd like to think, to take it to something very concrete today, that out of the Trump phenomenon and out of the kind of chaos and confusion or turmoil that's happening, more capable leaders will emerge in the future, maybe even from this meeting here
Right.
today.
Some of the young people here.
Some of the young
yeah.
people today, or other young people who are not here,
Sure, yeah.
who will be much more clear-eyed in their idea about what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you think about Donald Trump, he's not a very consistent or far-sighted thinker, really. He represents really a kind of reaction against the crisis that we can all see around us.
Yeah, yeah.
And the disappointment that people see around us.
Yeah.
So I want to say also, I'm very pleased to be with both of you. As I mentioned, we're meeting for the first time in person.
Yeah,
Although
finally.
we've talked on the
Feels
phone
like
and
we know you.
I've been
Yeah.
a guest and so forth.
Yep.
But I think you're playing a very good and important role in what you're doing as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Lana, to both of us. We're trying, we're trying to do something, and these things are new, doing live streams and stuff like that. I think that's the way to go, though. I mean, we have the technology to do that now, and
Right.
try to connect it more together and all those kinds of things, So it's
Be
encouraging.
be more aggressive as media, be on the forefront and cover those, certain events from our perspective is very important.
Right,
too.
right, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I think it's great. What else are you encouraged by in terms of what should we be positive in front of? We talk about problems all the time and these kinds of things, but
Right.
is there something else to be? I mean, we're obviously surfing kind of a wave right now. There's a lot of more people coming into it. Is there something we should do to utilize that better? Can we do something better?
I think the next big challenge is not really to raise awareness about the problem. And as you say, that's a downer. That's not a very happy thing.
Right.
But to have a much clearer vision, and that's still not at all settled, of where what we're going from here. That's still rather vague. Some people talk about a homeland and we're separate. Some people talk about other things. But all that's rather vague right now. But I think we do have to have a clearer idea of how this should play out, how we deal with these very important questions. That's another important challenge, I think, for the
We've
future.
identified the problems. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Right, what are we going to do about it?
It's time to
I
act.
mean, I was struck, for example, that the fellow speaking from South Africa, well, his solution, or really all he laid out, is various economic things to help whites in South Africa. That's fine, but that's a pretty minimalist program, really. The Estonian has a more clear idea because he has a homeland and he has an idea of where that's going and so forth.
Yeah.
I think right now the main thing that people can do, and I think you're playing an important role, is to, as I've said in a talk, to act like the little boy who says the emperor has no clothes. It's to show that the hypocrisy, the deceit, the misrepresentation of our of the system, of politicians and the educational system and so forth, and to show that that's wrong. Because once people understand that, then they can move on from that.
There's the samizdat idea to a certain extent, but do you think our political system is being hollowed out in the way that the Soviet Union were, that there's like nothing left there? I mean, still, obviously it's powerful, but people don't believe it in anymore.
Right.
They're losing faith
You know,
in it.
many people, I mean, I think you can make parallels with the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it's difficult to make a parallel for the United States, because when the Soviet Union broke down, there were two big advantages for those people. One, the different nationalities were more or less in geographical areas. The Soviet Union could break down into Ukraine or Estonia and Georgia and so forth in a way that the United States can't. And the second factor is that the peoples of the Soviet Union had a very strong sense of who they were from before the Soviet period, from before that. Russians had a long tradition of being Russian long before the Soviet Union, and so they could go back on that. They could be rooted in that. America doesn't have that. The history of the United States is something over 2 centuries, but that's all we really know. We don't have a history really before. We don't really know quite where to go from that.
Right.
That's why the problem is especially great in the United States, and especially great because Americans have a very strong tradition of individualism, not of a group consciousness, not of a national or folkish consciousness, but a very strong individualistic consciousness. And so raising that, especially to the level where people are going to actually fight for it or work for it, is going to be more difficult in the United States than in European countries, which have a stronger folkish, national, ethnic tradition.
That's true. Obviously, it's unfortunate, but it's almost like people are deracinated by default, almost to a certain extent, and you don't think it's enough to hang on to that American identity?
No. Because I think, unlike some people, the problem is not one that goes back just 10 or 20 or 30 years. This is something basically very defective about American tradition altogether. It's highly individualistic, and it's understandable because America was settled by people who came here as individuals to better themselves as individuals. They didn't come here to help build America. They came here to help themselves. And so this individualism and emphasis on individual rights is very much more pronounced in America than it is in other countries.
Right. Is that going to be upheld, do you think, considering like the direction of Bernie and these guys?
I'm sorry.
The direction of Bernie. Bernie Sanders, very popular. Do you think that individualism that people saw in this country is going away?
No, I mean, a lot of Bernie Sanders' support is motivated by young people who think he's going to give them free college education or cancel their student debt or make life just more comfortable.
Right.
He talks about socialism in a vague way, but it's unclear what that really means in real terms. But the Bernie Sanders campaign really, to me, strongly represents the desire of many people to see put into effect what we've been told should happen for many years. For many, many years, leaders of both Republican and Democratic Party say they want a country in which race is meaningless,
right.
In which people are, finally we're going to have equality. And Bernie Sanders is saying, well, this is the next step we have to take. And so it's very understandable that his support should be especially strong among younger people.
Right.
Because he's, in a sense, the logical person you should support if you've supported all the steps up to the present.
Right. Yeah, it's true. All right. Well, it's what else do you think is good with all? Is there anything else we should touch on?
Well, another thing that's very encouraging, and it's been touched on a little bit at this conference, is to be aware how much we have in common with people who are facing similar problems around the world. That the problems or the pressures of globalization and so forth affect all these different countries. That's why it was very refreshing, I suppose, to have the speaker from Mexico. But it's very important to understand, everybody should understand that people in Estonia or South Africa might think that they're unique, that they're alone, but really it's obvious, and these conferences underscore the extent to which these are really problems throughout certainly the Western world.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not China, or maybe India is another situation, or sub-Saharan Africa, but certainly in the Western world, we all face these basic same kinds of questions, and these are questions ultimately of identity, who we are, and what's really important. Those are ultimate questions. Whenever an individual or a nation faces a crisis, they have to ask themselves very hard questions. What's really important? Who am I? What really matters to me?
And that's what Europe is. I mean, many nations go through that, but Europe in particular right now, right? What direction do we go here?
Right.
The floodgates are open, right? Everyone is coming in trying to get a piece. What is it we're trying to preserve, right? What are we protecting here?
Right.
What is our heritage?
Because right now, Europeans are told that the most important thing is this ideology. That's more important than being French or German or Polish.
You mean like equality,
yes,
fairness?
Right.
Or,
politically correct. I mean, egalitarian, I think. And in effect, they're saying, because this is understandable after the end of the Second World War, they should be like the United States. Well, to be like the United States is going to mean the end of Europe. It means the end of all the distinctive identities of all the European peoples. And that's why I say the Americanization of Europe means the death of Europe, means the end of Europe, except as a geographical or political definition. It means the end of Europe in any meaningful, cultural, hereditary way.
Yeah. What's next for IHR, by the way?
Well, we've been holding, we hold meetings pretty regularly, primarily of people in the Southern California area. And we had this very interesting meeting a few weeks ago about the Trump phenomenon. And of course, everybody is talking about that in America. The world is talking about it. The media can't get enough of hearing about Donald Trump. In fact, the media is here at this meeting today as much as it is because it wants to tie this meeting in with the Trump phenomenon. Of course, everybody's talking about that because if Trump is elected, it will be the first time in all of American history that a man is president who has no background in military or governmental service. That's never happened in all of U.S. history. Always it's been somebody who's been a senator, a governor, some important government, or a military leader. Trump would be unique. But so anyway, we hold meetings. We try, and I try very hard to put events that are happening today in a historical perspective, and at the same time look at the past as it's relevant to what we are going through today.
Right.
I mean, history is not and should not be simply a dry, theoretical or abstract study. It should relate to our own times, and we can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Draw parallels and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what you guys do at IHR and do it
very
well.
We're trying to do that, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mark.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks
it's a
so
pleasure.
much. Right, thanks. See you later.
Everyone is eating now, by the way.
Yeah, did we lose our seats?
Yeah, I need to take care of that because maybe we'll have to return afterwards since everyone's eating and there's several people sitting down.
I'll leave the stream on for a little bit, and then we'll see if we continue or not. We're going to do one later. You can go and take care of that, and I'll try to. I'll juggle and play a drum here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, folks, but we'll leave the stream on for a little bit. We're just going to make sure that we get some seats here, and then we're going to try to. There is a. You want to sit down? We're live. We're live right now. Okay. You want to sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grab a mic. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Can you hear me okay? Is that too close?
You're loud.
Sorry.
It's okay. Got to lower you a little bit.
Yeah.
So how did you find your way here to the conference?
So I was I wasn't going to come until a couple of weeks ago, and then I was just like, just 'cause I don't want to travel, but I was just like, it's worth it. I want to go meet people, and I want to see what's happening. I'm glad I came.
Michael, you're from Austin?
Yes.
Yep.
I actually wanted to ask you guys what you thought of all the lefty media that's here, like the shit tier, low quality, like
It's a
BuzzFeed.
Yeah, BuzzFeed. Who else is there? HBO?
Talking Points memo.
HBO is doing something, right? On
I've heard about that. I haven't seen any of it.
they're doing something on the alt-right, I think. Or
Yeah,
something.
but I just think it's funny that like these sort of crappy leftist propaganda websites are here.
Oh yeah, well, I think what they're doing is they're trying. Mark Webber just said that, but they're trying to take, kind of the Trump phenomena and then connect it to things like this, right? To try to tarnish it as much as possible.
Yes,
and
of
I don't think they're going to get away with it. I don't think it's going to help.
They probably won't, but like what I don't understand, and maybe you being in the media have more understanding of this, but like, what's the point of having them here when they're just going to lie?
Well, it's what they do. It's their duty, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what they do. That's their function these days. They're not going to tell you the truth or anything. And I've commented on this a couple of times now, but you actually see when some of the speakers start getting into like some data and facts of like displacement or population replacement or these kinds of things, many of them actually walk away. You can
really?
You can see them standing here in the back, and then but when they actually get into something that's really meat and potatoes kind
something
of thing, right?
substance, yeah,
exactly.
Something that they can't just deny by saying you're racist.
That's when they walk away, right? They don't want to hear it, and you can see there's almost like this a contrived bitterness on top of things that they don't want to. We can't like these people, don't get involved, don't be friendly to anybody, you might like somebody, we don't want that,
So they get contaminated.
Yeah, their job is basically like, okay, you go there because you need to show what bad people these are, right? So go there and do whatever you need to do to show them how bad they are, right?
That's it.
That's what they do.
It's not journalism.
No, of course not.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Actually, I became a member like about a month and a half ago.
Well, thank you.
And I was listening to you did an interview with some Nordic nationalists. I think Nordic Resistance Movement.
The Nordic yep, Nord Front, yep.
And I noticed that from the first hour, to the second hour, like it seemed like your tone went from optimistic to extremely worried and concerned. Do you feel like you have to like hold back on just how worried you are about your country? Because you specifically said like, I find myself like, I don't know exactly what words you use, but I find myself having a hard time sleeping at night, worrying about what's going on in Sweden.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you actually have to hold that back?
Well, it's kind of like with all things. Sometimes you don't really. You're in it so deep all the time that you don't really reflect upon them, and sometimes when that kind of when you're exposed to that material, and it crystallizes for you again. I mean, I know all these things. I know everything we talked about, but you put things into perspective all the time, and it becomes even more clear of what's going on. And those are frightening moments because we're talking about the targeting of. I mean, the Swedish people.
You want me to move?
No, you're fine. You're just hanging out. Yeah. Did you find some seats? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have some dinner here. So, did you get a seat somewhere?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
we can wrap up if you want.
No, that's fine. No, let's keep talking a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna keep the stream going for a little bit more, and then we'll see what we do. But yeah, for everyone who's watching, we're gonna a little bit later. We're gonna try to take a camera and a streaming device and just head off to another area where things are continuing, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if we can get a good connection or whatnot.
I was thinking like how great it would be if you guys had like a genuinely portable setup,
I know, exactly.
Instead of just using, Johnny Monoxide
cell phone, yeah.
Like if you had like a real like 4G camera or whatever. I think that would be.
Well, I think it's doable these days. Some of the technology you can actually have these. That's the downside. It is a little bit expensive.
Like, are we talking 10 grand, 20 grand?
No, but it's there are small boxes basically from like what are they from anywhere from $500 up to $900 that you can actually connect an HDMI signal in, and then you can stream that straight out, to YouTube or something like that.
If you want to do a Kickstarter campaign or something, I'd be happy to contribute to that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Exactly.
I think we need we need people like you.
Of course, I think
to
so too.
counter
That's why I'm doing
the
this.
BuzzFeeds of the world.
Exactly, yeah.
With not just audio, which is great,
Yeah.
but also with video.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. So I think the trick about this is basically to find, the idea we had, as we said in the first live show we did, is to get people who are in whatever area they're in and have them as point people
Right.
or correspondents or reporters. And if they don't have access to a cell phone or a camera or something like that, we can actually send something to them that they can stream the event with, and then they can just ship it back to us, right?
Oh, that
I mean,
would
we
be-
have to think outside of the box here because we don't have satellite web vans and helicopters, So, not yet, and so we got to come up
Well,
with
we're going to
something.
be a lot of helicopters, aren't we? a lot of helicopters.
We're going to be throwing out people out of those
Throwing them out,
helicopters.
yep.
Exactly, you got that right. No, but it's it's good. I think we're heading in the right direction. This has been very technologically challenging, by the way. Let me just check on the stream for a second. Yeah, the stream has actually been good so far. I had to lower everything to like 480p this time, and it was
Just the quality level?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that makes sense.
Way down, and now it actually seems to hold for once, So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out in the end. But it's fun, It's fun. It's something new, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll see where things go. But are you gonna? Should we head off and get some dinner, maybe?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So folks are streaming. Let's head on over there. Thank you.
All right.
And we'll see you later.
talking to you,
Yeah, we'll see you
man.
later. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks so much. All right, folks. So what we're gonna do here is try to get some food because I haven't been eating all day. So that's really what's next here. So, okay, so anyway, so we're going to try to start up another stream in probably, what time is it now? 7:15? So we're going to try to start up a stream at probably in, I don't know, an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how things, turn out here. So definitely tune in for more later. I think there's no point in leaving the stream on, actually, because you'll just be watching that wall. How exciting is that, right? So yeah, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll do another stream here in about an hour or so. Thanks so much.